Hello guys, welcome to this the third part of this JavaScript tutorial. In the previous lesson, the lesson 2, I talked about switch statements, breaks, continue, all down to math object and accessing arrays. Okay, in this lesson we're going to be talking about set interval, clear interval, set timeout, query selector, document object model, which is known as the DOM, and down to event listeners. Okay, so in the HTML here, I will just be creating two parent elements here. I can call this one, give it a class name create, and I can give it a text. This is a JavaScript tutorial, and I can create another parent element here. I can say create 2. And I can put two children paragraph element here. I can say this is the first element. Oh, let's spell this correctly. And I can say this is the second element. Okay, so I'll just be giving this a style, in the HTML, in the CSS. But let's open this on live server. Okay, so this is how it looks on live server. I'll just give it some width and some height. Okay, so we say create. I can say a width of 100%. A height of 300 pixels, a background of black, and a color of white. Okay, so I'll do pretty much the same thing in the create tool. I will just simply copy everything here, property name and property value. Okay, and I can change this background color to maybe blue. Okay, so if we go back, I think everything, let's add a font size. I'll give this a font size of, let's say, 50 pixels. And I'll do the same thing here, 50 pixels. Okay, so I've just created two additional elements here, one with a single element, the other one with two children elements. Okay, so it's going to be very useful in this tutorial. So first things first, here we have the set interval. Now let me put it here. Set interval. Now what is that at the set interval? It's a way to set a command to run after a certain interval. So you can set it for 3 seconds, every 3 seconds. And let me just give an example here. In JavaScript, 1000 means 1 second, 2000 means 2 seconds, 3000 means 3 seconds. Okay, so let me even indicate it here. If we wanted to say 1000 in JavaScript using set interval, it will mean 1 second. And let's say we want to use 2000 or want to say 2 seconds, we'll simply use 2000, 2 seconds. Okay, so if we want to say 10 seconds, we'll say 10,000. We won't use the comma actually. 10 seconds. Okay, so we can simply now I taught you guys how to add an alert. Let me use an alert for this illustration. I can say this is a sample alert. Okay, so I go back, I refresh, you can say this is sample alert. Now if you notice, the alert just comes on only once. So if I were to refresh the page, the alert comes on only once. So with set interval, we can set an interval for the alert to come after a certain amount of seconds or a certain amount of time. Okay, so we can include this in the function. First of all, we create a function for the set interval, but we can simply use set, put a variable, we say var, we can say set interval start. Okay, and I can say equals to, and I put the set interval now. Now if you notice, this set interval has a camel casing, okay, but this doesn't, okay, because it's a variable name. I can use it with camel casing or without camel casing. Okay, so now in the set interval we're going to add a bracket, and we are going to give the first, there's going to be two data types here. Oh, sorry, there's going to be two data inside the set interval bracket. The first one is the function name of the set interval, or want to run the set interval, and the second one is the amount of seconds you want to have the interval. So I've indicated here 2000 means 2 seconds. Okay, so let's just give this a function name of let's say from interval. Okay, I put comma, and I want this function to run, let's say after every 2 seconds. Okay, so nothing happens here till we create this function. I can say function, and I give it from interval. Okay, or I can copy this. I can simply just put this, and I can add the curly bracelet. Oh, sorry, I can add the bracket. So I can now put our alert I added before. I can say this is a set interval for every 2 seconds. Okay, so I go back, and you can see it's running after every 2 seconds. 2 seconds is running, another 2 seconds is running, 2 seconds is running, another 2 seconds is running. Okay, so there's a way we can use the clear interval, but I won't be going into that for now. I'll be going into the set timeout. Okay, there's a way we can clear this interval to make sure that it doesn't run anymore. Okay, but I won't be going into that for now. Let me just simply go into that briefly. So I create a separate function. Just in case it's confusing, don't worry, you can skip it, practice the set interval. Later on you can come down to the clear interval. So I can say clear interval from. Okay, and we simply use clear interval. I will add this. Okay, now why I didn't want to go into this is because we have not gotten to event, but let me just go into this briefly because we'll still be talking about event, JavaScript event, you know, in this tutorial. So let me just do it at once. Okay, just in case it's confusing, like I said, you can skip it, come back later on, and you know, check on the clear interval. So now I've used this clear interval, and I will need to create a, let's say, a button that will be able to execute this event. Okay, so let me come here, and I'd say button, and I can say stop interval. Okay, stop interval. So in JavaScript there's something they call events. Okay, so events are a way of adding several functionality or activities that matches certain things. Okay, so take example, if I want to click something, we can add an event on click. If I want the page to load, we can add an event on load. If we want to use the submit form, we can add an event on submit. Okay, so I'll just be using not so I can say on click. I'll be using the on click event, and I can add the name of this function now. I can add the name of this function. So this is clear interval from. So it's going to stop the interval actually. Okay, so we head back, and we can see our interval is still running after every 2 seconds. Oh, so this interval is too close. So let me try and increase it to maybe 5 seconds, so that we can have some space to click the button. Okay, So I would stop it, I will refresh it. Okay, I would like to run once, so it's running after every 5 seconds. Okay, and I can execute the stop interval now. Okay, so once I click this, you can see the interval would never run again. Okay, the interval would never run again. So it's very important you know all this. Okay, so like I said, in case it's confusing, we have not gotten to events yet. I know there's an event I added here on click event. Don't bother, you can skip it, just practice you know, the set interval aspect. Okay, so I'll comment this out so that it doesn't interfere with our code in the future. And the next thing here is the set timeout. Okay, so the set timeout is used to add a delay to a function. Okay, a delay to a function. So like I told you, we added a lot, for example, and we have interval, so I can say this is a set, this is not a set timeout. So you can see it just came up. So we can add a delay. So take example, we want to add a 5 seconds delay. It's a very similar way we use in the set interval. Okay, if you want to add a 5 seconds delay to this code, okay, before it comes up, okay, before the alert comes up, a 5 seconds delay. So we can use 5,000. Okay, so similar to the set interval, we put our set timeout in a variable. So I can say set timeout new, for example, and we can say the set timeout would put the name of the function. So I can say set out, for example, 1, and we have, let's say, let it run after 5 seconds. Okay, so like I said, similar to the set interval, the first data here is the function name, and the second data here is the amount of time. So this 5,000 means 5 seconds in JavaScript. Okay, so I put this into a function. I can say function, this is the name of the function I've given to it, copy, set out, I paste this, I put the bracket, and I add this alert. So I want this alert to run after 5 seconds. Okay, after the page is loaded 5 seconds. Okay, so I'll refresh this and we'll wait. So it's gonna run after 5 seconds. It won't just start up. Okay, you can see it has run after what, 5 seconds. Okay, so we can, this one does not repeat actually. All right, this one does not repeat, so we can use this for various purposes. You can use this for page loader, we can use this for some other things. Okay, so it's very important along the line. Even when I'm building a page loader, I'll be using this set timeout. Okay, so I will comment this out so that it doesn't interfere with our code, and we'll go to the next thing, which is the date. Okay, which is the date. So there's an inbuilt function or method in JavaScript to extract the date, the year, the seconds, and the day of the week or the full time of the week in relation to the device you are accessing the code or the website from. Okay, so the general function or the general way to extract a date in JavaScript is by using a this method. So I would just, let's say, date in JavaScript. Okay, so I will just use a variable known as var data, and I will say new date. Okay, so there's an object new date, and we can just console.log instead of using, okay, let's just wait, let's get to DOM. After DOM, I would use the inner HTML. So I want you guys to follow up so that you don't get lost. Okay, so I can say data, for example. So this will give me the date. If I inspect the code in the console, I can say inspect console, so you can see this is the date. Okay, this is the date. Okay, so with this new date function, I can get the current time. Okay, so I've been able to get the current time. Okay, so we can see here for my current time, this is 26th of April 2024, GMT plus 0100 West African time. Okay, so time is 18:27:47. Okay, so that's about 27 minutes past 6. Okay, so that's a way to access the date in JavaScript. Okay, so apart from the general date, there's also a way to access minutes, like hours, okay, like the year. So to get the, let's say, the current year, what do? We have to give like a var year. You can use any variable name of your choice, and we say data, which is this. Okay, dot, use the others function too, dot get full year. Okay, so if we console.log this year, this should give us the full year, okay, that we are in while recording this tutorial. So we have the console. So this is 2024. Okay, 2024. So if you're just joining us, I talked about the console.log. It's where you have data stored in the console of your browser. Okay, so to get to the console, you simply right click, inspect, and you go to what? Console. Okay, so that's what we've been doing here in the first and second part of this tutorial. So we have 2024. So we can have, let me indicate here, this is get year. So I'll be doing pretty much all of them. I can say get month. Okay, so I can say var month, and we access this data again, data dot get month. Okay, so we can say console.log month. Okay, month. So we go back, and this is the third month. Get month, get the month. This is supposed to be showing. Okay, so we go to the next one. We can get day, get day. We can say var day equals to data dot get day. So this is going to get the day of the week. Okay, the day of the week. Console.log day. Okay, so that's the 5th day of the week, which is a Friday. Okay, the 5th day of the week, which is a Friday. So I think I have a cheat sheet of JavaScript attached. So there are several ways we can get hours, get minutes, get milliseconds, but I won't be going into all of them. Okay, so with this you can even, I think there's another function known as let me just get the current time. Let's say get current time. Okay, so I can say get current time now. I can say data dot to local date time string. So this will get the current time of the device. Can say console.log current time now, and we have the current time. Okay, so this is to get the current time, 6:33 p.m. okay, so it matches with my device here, 6:33 p.m. So there are several other ways you can get seconds, get hours, like I've already mentioned, but I won't be going into that. I have the cheat sheet attached to the description of this video in case you want to explore the rest of them. Okay, so now we go to one of the main aspects of JavaScript, which is known as the document object model, and I have even downloaded a picture to reflect the document object model, which is simply known as the DOM. Okay, so everything in JavaScript, or when JavaScript is accessing HTML, okay, everything you see here is a tree. Okay, just like how I was explaining parent and children element in JavaScript, also in HTML, it's just the same thing. Okay, the document object model. Okay, so this is the main parent, for example, and this is a child. Head is a child of HTML. Meta, title, link, script is a child of what? Head. Okay, HTML is a child of, is a parent of body, and body is a child of what? HTML. Okay, so I've created, or I've downloaded an image, the DOM here, to illustrate this in a graphical format. Okay, so we can see that document, I will have the root element, which is the HTML, that has two children, the head and the body. Here the head, the head and the body. Okay, so there's no other child here, there's no footer here, and like I said, the body is a child of the HTML, the head is a child of what? The HTML. The title is a child of what? The head, and the link tag, like how I've put it here, the A tag and the H1 tag, okay, if it's involved on the body here, are all children of what? Of the body. Okay, so this body is a parent of these three, and the rest of them. So this one is known as the document object model. Okay, so in DOM, so there are ways you can manipulate this DOM, okay, in HTML. Okay, so the three ways I'm going to be showing you guys, there are several in JavaScript. The three ways I'm going to be showing you guys is I'm going to show you guys 4 ways actually. One of them is the get element by ID. The other one is the get element by class name. The other one is the get element by tag name. The other one is the query selector. Okay, so I'm just going to show you guys how to use all of them. So the get element by ID is one of the most straightforward. Okay, so can say DOM get element by ID. Okay, so I'll just simply put a variable here. I'm just storing it in the variable. I will say get ID new, for example, and I can say equals to. Now to, let's say, get an ID here to manipulate something into an ID, for example. So take example, let me give this an ID, or let me just create a separate unique ID here. I can say create 3, for example, and I can say this is an ID sample element. Okay, so I've created an ID known as what? Create 3. Now remember, IDs, like I said, are very unique. Okay, so they're not to be repeated. Okay, so it's only going to be used once in your entire code. Okay, so now to get this ID, to manipulate this ID, which is a child of the body here, like I have indicated it here. Okay, so ID is a child. Okay, the div here is a child, okay, of this body. Okay, I would simply use an inbuilt command known as document. Remember, this is document object model dot get element by ID. Okay, I put a bracket and I paste the ID name inside. Notice I didn't put the hash, I just paste the ID name inside. Okay, so now anywhere we have this get ID new, anywhere we use this variable name, we can get this ID. Okay, here. Okay, so take example, I create a function, or I simply use this. I can say dot inner HTML equals to I can say this is an ID DOM test. So what I've been able to do, I've been able to put something into this ID's HTML. Okay, I've been able to put something inside the element here. Okay, so I go back and I can see it has been inputted. In fact, let me even make this beautiful. Create ID 3, copy, so that let me make this more visible. Okay, so I copy this, copy, and let's say I give this a background color of just a yellow, and I give this a background color of black. Okay, so I give this a background color of yellow. Okay, this will work perfectly. Alright, so this is a DOM, this is an ID DOM test. So now if you notice, I didn't put anything into the HTML. Okay, I put something to the HTML, but this other command I put here, dot inner HTML, is used to insert certain things into the HTML. It doesn't have to be a string like how I've put it here. It can be another variable you put here, it can even be a function, it can be anything you put here. So I've inserted this string. This is a DOM test. So if I comment this out, you notice the order, this is an ID sample, the default has been restored here. This is an ID sample test that's been restored here. Okay, so I go back and I uncomment this out. So now if you notice, I used what, get ID new, which is this dot inner HTML. Okay, so this is to input anything into the HTML. This is an ID DOM test. Okay, so if we go back, it has been put here. Okay, so this is for the ID. Now we go down how we can manipulate the HTML through the DOM, through JavaScript. We say class name. Okay, class name. So there's a reason why I created these children here, these two children here inside this. So this is for this purpose. So I give it class, and I can say create child, create to child. Okay, this is a create to, and I copy this class name again, copy, create to child. Okay, so this one might be a little bit complicated, but I'll give the same process. So let me not forget to comment this out. Oh, let me leave it. So I can say get element by class name. Now I made mention that class in when we're doing CSS, that class can be used in more than one instance. Okay, so I can say get class new, for example. So I can say equals to, now I can say document dot get element by ID. Okay, now if you notice, this is also in camel casing, and this is also in camel casing. So I made mention in the last video, in the previous video, that camel casing, it's used when it's an inbuilt kind of casing in JavaScript, that the first letter it's not capitalized, but all other words are what capitalized. So you can see there are about 1, 2, 3, 4 words here, or 5 words here. So the get is not capitalized, but all other letters start with capital letter. Not they're all uppercase, but each of the beginning of the words are capital letter. So element is capital letter, by is capital letter, class is capital letter, and name is capital letter. Okay, so I remember we copied this class here, create child 2, get element by class name. Okay, so I'll be doing the same thing I did here, manipulating the inner HTML. So I can say get class new, for example, dot inner HTML. Let's try and put something inside. I can say this is a class DOM test. Okay, so I've intentionally excluded something here to show us a certain reason why I included it. So if we go back, you can see that we notice that it doesn't work. Okay, why does it not work? It doesn't work because we have not indicated which of the class we want to input this into. Okay, so now in JavaScript, JavaScript starts counting from 0. Okay, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we wanted to manipulate this first class here, we'll simply use 0. Okay, or 0, whatever you want to call it. So I would come here and I will indicate 0. So I'll use the square bracket, I'll indicate 0. So get class name, get class new, which is this. Okay, starts counting from 0, which is the first one. And if we go back, we can see this has been affected. This is, oh, I made a mistake here. This is a class DOM test. This is a class DOM test. Okay, so it has been indicated here. All right, so if I wanted to manipulate the second one, I will simply use 1. Okay, 0, 1. This is a class DOM test. So I can simply do it for the 2. I can say 0. Can copy this instead of using a loop or something. Can put this, and I can put 1. Okay, so if we go back, you can see the both of them have been implemented. Okay, so that's for DOM manipulation by class name. Okay, so we'll go to the next one, DOM manipulation by, or DOM manipulation by tag name. So we go to the JavaScript and we'll do the same thing. I can indicate here get element by tag name. Now I made mention in the HTML when we were doing HTML that these are all tags, div, p, and we have container tags and we have empty tags. Container tags are tags that have opening tag and closing tag like div, and empty tags are tags that do not have a closing tag, just the opening tag like BR, like image tag, and the rest of them. Okay, so now I'm going to be using a very popular tag here. Let me just use the div. Okay, let me just use the div. So if we want to get it by tag name, we can say var and say get tag new. For example, you can use any variable name of your choice. So I can say document dot get element by tag name. Okay, so in this case I want to get the tag name of div. You can use any tag name of your choice. Okay, you can use the p, you can use image, anyone you want. Okay, so I want to get the div. Okay, and I come down and I do the same thing. I can say get tag new dot inner HTML. So I can say this is a tag DOM test. Okay, this is a tag DOM test. So it's not going to work to indicate which of the tag, but let me just do it to fulfill righteousness. You can see it's not going to work. So I want to target this first div tag here. Okay, so what do? I simply use the 0 however you want to call it, and I go back, and this should perfectly work well. So this is a tag dump test. So when you use this inner HTML here, every other thing in the HTML is being overwritten. Okay, in that particular tag is being overwritten. So if you notice, the first tag here I had hello, we just started JavaScript, it has been overwritten by this is a tag dump test. So I indicated it here 0. If I were to put it in 1, the former content to just come, and the second one is gonna be, so let me just keep it at 0. Okay, so now we go to the last one on how to manipulate dump, which is known as the query selector. It's not really used that much, but it's still worthy of being mentioned. So I can say get I can say using query selector. Okay, so I can say var query new, for example, and I can say document dot query selector. And now the beautiful thing about query selector is that you can indicate directly which element you want to manipulate. So take example, using ID, I can, let me just create a new ID here. I can say create 2 or 4 create 4. I can say this is a query selector 1, copy, and I put it here as 5, query 5, or create 5, query selector 2. Okay, so if I wanted to get into manipulate this create 4, first of all, let's style it so that it's going to have some create 5. Let's see, is this create 5? Okay, that's correct, create 5. So let's just copy this, copy. We can change this background color to something else. Let's say pink, should be good. All right, and we can say black. Okay, so we go back, this is cool. All right, let me just add a margin bottom, let's say 20 pixels, so that there will be some space at the bottom. Okay, this is perfect. So I want to manipulate this through query selector. Now the only thing about query selector is that you input how it's normally used, being styled in CSS, for example. So if I wanted to style 4, I'll just copy this, and I'll copy the paste the exact same query. Okay, so I will just use query new dot inner HTML. I can say equals to let me just use a short one, query sample, for example, query sample. So I come here, you can see, so you notice among all the tag, get element by ID, get element by class name, get element by tag name, it was only a query selector here that I input it how I should input this in a CSS. Okay, so let's do the same thing for using query selector for ID, using query selector for class. Okay, so let's make this class. Let's go back and I'll style this to be dot. You can style this separately. I just use this command to save time. Okay, so let's check. Okay, everything is still working. And for the class, we'll simply do the same thing. Var query new 2 equals to document dot query selector. I paste this, create 5. I put the dot like the class name, create 5, and I can use query new 2 dot inner HTML equals to query class DOM selector, for example. So this is going to override everything inside the HTML. You can see it's working perfectly well. Okay, so that's it for DOM. We'll still be using DOM in every other thing here. In fact, DOM is the most important thing in JavaScript. Okay, so if you could master DOM very well, you could master a whole lot of JavaScript. Okay, so I would be going to the next thing here, which is changing attributes. Okay, example, attribute in images. Okay, so changing attribute in images. So take example, I added, okay, let me just use these 2 sample images here. I can say img, and I can say camel, src assets images. Let me just use this .camel casing, and let me give this an ID of img1, for example. So I've added an image here, camel casing. I think I did use this, for example, in the last class, example of camel casing, okay, in illustration. So it's not important right now to know what this images means, but we're trying to manipulate the src, okay, changing this attribute. Okay, so I would say, okay, changing attributes in JavaScript. Okay, changing attributes in JavaScript. First of all, using the DOM, we try to get this ID. Okay, we try to get this ID. So I copy this, and I can say var img1 let me just use a different, then we'll use the DOM again, document dot get element by ID. So we paste this. We've gotten the image ID now, and we try to change it. Okay, so I can say img11, let me put this inside a function, let's change image src. So if you're just joining us, I made mention that the function is used to carry on or compact certain commands. Okay, so I would just copy this, copy, okay, so I'll paste this, and I would say .src equals to, so we'll put a new part here. I can say assets slash images slash DOM tree dot gif. Okay, so here is where we are. Okay, here is where we are. So let's see if this will work. So I'll put this as a on click. Okay, so let's go back, and let's create a button here to do that button. So click, let me just use a simple button, click to change src. Okay, So I'll put this as on click, and I'll simply paste this, and let's see if it works. Okay, so you can see it works. All right, it works. Just in case you're confused how I got this src in the function here, don't worry. So I got this src by checking the path to our images folder here. So this dot slash is to indicate that what we are looking for is in the same asset folder. Okay, it's in the same folder, it's in the same primary root folder. Get into asset, get into images, and get into the DOM tree. Okay, so from this HTML here, we can use it to manipulate this other src here. Okay, so this camel casing is for this first image, and this for the second image. Okay, so watch the previous videos on file paths for you to determine how for you to fully understand. Okay, so that's how to change the src. So let's try it one more time, and also change src. Okay, so you can see, so we don't have much image. I just used 2 images here in this asset images folder. Okay, so the next thing we are going to be going into is changing styles. Okay, so similar to using css, we can also use javascript to change styles, okay, in through our javascript. Okay, so change styles through our javascript. So how can we do that? We can simply do that. Let me just use this change styles in javascript. Okay, so let's choose the style we want to change. Let's say we want to change this query class selector. So let's try that. So first of all, we go to the class we go to the element we want to change, and we maybe extract the class name. So I can say class, copy, and what do? I say var. So I can say query new 3. Doesn't matter how much we do this actually. Document dot, we can use get element by class, get element by, let me just use the query selector, and we paste this. Don't forget to add the dot. So it's only the query selector, we add the dot and the hash like css. Okay, so and now I'll create a function that will be able to do this. Okay, so I'll create a function. I can say function query, let me just use style change. Okay, we have query new. So take example, we want to change the background color. So what do? We have extracted the variable name which carries the query selector credit 5, and we can say dot style and the property name we want to change. So take example, we want to change background like we have used here in the css background. Okay, background, this is a very sensitive part of javascript. So we can say dot background, okay, equals to I want to change it to maybe red. I can say red, for example. So we're going to set an event that when something is changed here, let me even set this event for this event. So if you for this element, so if you click on this element, it should change. Style change, it should change. Paste. So we go back, so we click on this, you can see it has changed to red. Let's refresh it again. So I use that event on click. Okay, on click event, we'll get to event, don't worry. You don't need to understand anything here, but when you get to event, you fully understand it here. So I might come back and explain this, or I'll just give similar examples. Okay, so on click, so when this element is clicked upon, notice it doesn't work in any other element too. I said maybe use the Windows event, or use the Windows event command. So when this is clicked, it changes to red. Okay, so now something I want to bring to your notice: there are some elements in there are some CSS properties or property names. This is a property name and this is a property value. There are some CSS properties that have multiple names. Take example, this font size, for example. So what's the default font size here? 50. So take example, we want to also change the font size when this is clicked. We have changed the background color, so we put the same thing here, query new 3 dot style. We're changing the style dot font size. We don't do this in JavaScript. Okay, this is where camel casing comes in. This is not going to work. Let me just even use it. So let me use 80 pixels. So if this should work, I'll query my browser. So this is not even working. It has invalidated what we even have inside a function. So now we're going to be using camel casing to correct this. Okay, so font size, so this should work perfectly well. You can see. Okay, you can see. Let me even make it bigger so that 120 is going to be very obvious. So when we click on this, our font size has changed to 120 and our background has changed to red. Okay, so that's how to use the style attribute. Okay, the style attribute, you can use it and style your HTML. You can use it and insert certain functionalities here into your HTML. Okay, so anything at all you want to style with the CSS here can be styled through this JavaScript. Okay, so remember, I put this into a function and I call this function. That is why it is working. Okay, you can also put it inside a function and try, but I like to make, it's good to make everything arranged in your work. Okay, now the next thing is creating elements. There's a way we can create elements through JavaScript. There's a way we can create elements through JavaScript. Okay, there's a way we can create element through JavaScript. So what is that way? We can say create element. Okay, so take example, I want to create a paragraph, a p tag. We can say p paragraph. You don't need to use this paragraph word. Actually, I'm just using it to create this variable. So document dot say create element, create element. So we want to create a p tag. Anything we want to create, we can simply use the div. Also, let's just create a div. So we have successfully created a div here through using this. Okay, this inbuilt function. So now I want to create a text inside the div. Okay, I want to create a text separately before binding them through append. So we can say create var create text equals to document dot create text node. Okay, so we can say this is a sample text. Okay, this is a sample text. So let me just let me check this. So let me just use an existing element and put these two inside. Okay, put the p paragraph inside. Okay, so let me call this let me put this under here. Let me call this dot node. Okay, dot node. Okay, and let me use an ID actually, so that I don't need to specify id dot node. So if you notice, nothing is inside, but we can style this node. let's give this a background color of green. Okay, of green. So let's check if our element is valid. Okay, so I would simply finish on this process before that. So now we need to find a way to input this create text node into this. And how do we do that? We can simply do that by using a command, a function known as append child. Okay, append child. So I would simply use var let's say create child join. Let me use joining together, for example, and I simply use the paragraph, this one, okay, dot append child. So by using the variable names here, I will say create text. Okay, create text. Okay, so let's simply test this into our console and see console.log. Let's say join together. So if you don't understand what's going on here, what happened is that I was showing you guys how to create elements through JavaScript. Okay, so I've created the first element using this function create element. I've created a div and I've created a text into the div using this create text node. So this is a sample text. Okay, so now what this does is join together append child. This joins this text into this div, okay, as a normal text into the div. Okay, so this is what the paragraph, which is this first one, which is the div dot append child joining the text, which is this create text. Okay, so I'm trying to check if this is a valid element, okay, into the HTML. So let's just see join table together, which is this append child I've created. So let's go back to the console log and check. So console.log, this is a sample text. So that means our creating of the element was successful. So let's see how we can bring in that element into this last paragraph we have created here. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go back and see the node, that's the ID. So now we use the DOM. You see the importance of the DOM. So inserting created element into the HTML node. Okay, so we'll do the same process here and we'll get the element by ID. You can say var node 1, for example, equals to get element, document dot get element by ID. And what's the ID? Node. Need to cross check. The ID is what? Node. Perfect. So I close this and what do I do now? I say node 1 dot append child. Which one am I appending? I'm appending this join together now into this node. Okay, so this div is going into this other div here known as the node. Okay, this is the ID of the node. Okay, this is ID of the div, sorry. So dot append child, and I'll use what? Join, join together. Okay, so this should automatically appear. Perfect. Okay, this is a sample text. This is a sample text. Now if you notice, I didn't put it into a function, but I can also put it into a function. So I didn't put it into a function and it has gone directly. Okay, but I can put it into a function and do that, but let me just leave it like this so that you guys would have a versatile understanding of this. So this is how to create text, this is how to create an element, this is how to join the text to the element, this is how to console into the log, console.log to check if it's valid, and this is how to join into an existing element you already created before this one through the JavaScript. Okay, so go on and practice. You can insert anything you want to insert here. You can make this text longer, and you can actually style this, okay, using JavaScript. Okay, removing element and replacing element. Okay, so let me show you guys how to remove element and replace element. Okay, so we go back and we say removing element. Okay, removing element. Okay, so let's create two elements to simulate this. So I can say dot create 6, for example, and let's give it a child, or let's give it a child. Let's say P, or let's put it in another div. Simply use an ID. Create 6 child. Okay, so I'll change it to an ID also. ID. So I can say this is sample text. Okay, so now I'm showing you guys how to remove elements. Okay, so I'll show you guys how to remove this child element here. That's why I'm creating this too. Okay, first of all, let's just give it some style, some styling. It's a div, there's an ID. We can simply copy this, copy, paste, and we go for the background. Let's give it something like a blue, and we change this to a white. Okay, we head back to the code. This should be perfect. This is a sample text. I can just give it something different. I can say to be removed. Okay, so confirm. Okay, it's working perfectly well. Now to remove a parent or a child element here, what do? We simply come here, we extract the ID name, copy, and I can say var to remove, for example. That's the variable name I'm giving to it. Then we'll use the DOM, document dot get element by ID. We'll paste this, create it 6. Okay, and we get the child also, var to remove, to remove child equals to document dot get element by ID, and we simply use create 6 child. Let's confirm the child name. Okay, perfect. All right, so now to remove this child, okay, what do? We simply use to remove, which is the parent dot, we use a command known as remove child, okay, and we use to remove child. Okay, so if you understand, this is the child, this is the parent, and this is the child. Okay, this is the parent here, which we stored in this variable, and this is the child here, which we have put inside this command. So if we go back to our HTML, realize our child has been removed. Okay, that's how to remove a child. Okay, so you get the extract the two through the DOM and remove them through this function here. So now another thing here is to replace. Okay, to replace. So to replace a child, now if you notice, we created a child earlier on. Okay, we created an element earlier on, so let's see whether we can use this. Okay, we won't be using this paragraph, we'll be using this joining together, because this is where we appended, or this is where we append the child, okay, this text to this parent here. Okay, so we'll be using this class name, or we'll be using this variable name here, join together. Okay, so let's simply comment this out so that our child is still retained. Okay, to replace a child. Okay, so to replace this child with this other one here. Okay, so to replace the child, we simply use to remove dot replace child. Replace child. Okay, I will put a bracket. Now this is supposed, the first one is supposed to have the newer child, and the second one is supposed to have the older child. Okay, so we'll simply come here, we copy this newer child we want to replace. Now note of the text, this text is what, this is a sample text, and this one is what, to be removed. So if it's successful, this is a sample text, should appear inside here. Okay, so if we replace this, so we put this join together, I will put a comma and we remove this, the one we want to remove, the child we want to remove, copy, paste. Okay, so if it's successful, everything should change. This is a sample text, so our text, our child here has successfully been replaced. This has been removed and this has been replaced. Okay, so that's how to replace a child. Now we move on to the next one, next topic here, known as events. I won't actually be covering every event in JavaScript, but I'll be covering the most important events. Okay, two of the most important events in JavaScript are mostly on click and on load. Okay, we have other one on mouse out, on blur, on focus. I'll be attaching the cheat sheets to the description of this video so you can explore them. Okay, so now events are simply different events on the web browser that has been inbuilt by JavaScript. Okay, so you can call the event when a page is loading, you can call the event when an element is clicked, you can call an event when a form is submitted, you can call the event when a page has finished loading or when a page changed. But I'll be using I think 3 of the events here, you know, so as we proceed we'll go into other events. Okay, so so let's say events in JavaScript. Okay, so events in JavaScript, so we have several events. Let me just use this on click. I think I've been using on click since. On click is when an element is clicked. It doesn't have to be a button, okay, but when an element is clicked, that event is what, valid. That event is what, valid. Okay, so we have the on click event here, so I can just use a simple text here. I can say function, let me just get this, create 6, what's the name, to remove. Okay, function event sample, event sample, for example, and I'll just use to remove. Okay, dot style, I want to change the background style, so I want to say dot style dot background equals to, let's use orange, for example. So when this is clicked, now one thing about the event is that it's not going to work till you add it to the element. Okay, so I want to use on click event. Notice I've not used anything like on click. I use the on click inside the HTML. Okay, so now I've extracted this class, sorry, this ID here, and I've input it here through the variable name, and I've changed the background of this. So I want to call this event, this function name here. So I'll copy it and I go to the text. I can go to element at all. Okay, so I can say on click. So when this element is clicked, I want the color to change, similar to what we did. Okay, to I think this. So I want to do this here also. So you can see it has changed to orange. Let's refresh it again. I'll click it, it has changed to what? Orange. So that is for what? On click. Now for the unload. Okay, unload is only added in the is mostly used in the body tag. Okay, on body event, on load event. Okay, on load event. So we go to the body and we can say unload. We can say something like we paste this event. So you can see when the page is loaded, let this thing change automatically. Okay, when the page is loaded, let it change automatically. So you notice this one was on click and the other one was what? On load. Okay, so those are two of the events you can use. We have other ones you can use in the form. We have other ones you can use on mouse down. We can have other one you can use on mouse out. Okay, so let me just change this to be on mouse out. On mouse out. Okay, and let me remove this unload. Okay, so I've put on mouse out here, so I've clicked it, it's not working till I put my mouse out. Oh, you can see it's working now. So when my mouse is out of here, you can see that. So I've clicked, it's not working. When I move my mouse out of here, it's working. Okay, so we have another one on mouse down event. Okay, event sample on mouse down. Okay, so we go back until we press it down. Okay, not until we click it, until we press it down. Okay, similar to on click. So we have another one on mouse up. Okay, on mouse up. So we save it and we go back. Okay, on mouse up. Okay, so we have another one on blur, on load, on change. Okay, so I won't be going into that. I'll just say start from on click and unload. Okay, and after that you go into other event in JavaScript. Okay, so that's for event. I will be going to windows.event. Okay, windows.event. So now if you want something to take example, we put here, we put on click here. Okay, we put on click and we have removed every other one. We have removed the unload, we have removed the mouse down. So until this is clicked, okay, it's not going to work. Okay, so we can put a window that will cover the entire element. So whenever any other element is clicked here, it's going to work. Okay, so this is what we call the windows.event. Okay, so take example, we want to put something to we want this to be involved in every window. So take example, this only works when we click here. Okay, so take example, we want this to be involved when we click anywhere in the window. Okay, we can use a function known as we can use the command known as windows. Okay, windows.event. Okay, so what do? We can say windows dot on click equals to this. Okay, windows dot on click. You can even remove the function name. You can remove the function name. Windows dot on click. Let me remove the function name here. So this is a general click now. Function. Window. Okay, so this should work. So you can see anywhere it is clicked now, nothing happens. Anywhere it is clicked, so you can see, so it now has gone through the entire windows. If we had other pages, it's also going to be very much applicable. So the last thing we're going to be talking about here before we go into ES6 is event listeners. So now event listeners would save us the stress of going into our HTML and adding all this on click, on load. If we can simply have the class name in a variable, or the ID in a variable, we can simply insert it directly into our event listener. Okay, so now I'll go to the last thing here, listing event listeners. Okay, we'll go to the next thing, and we can simply use, now to use an event listener, obviously we should have this out, the class name. So let's just use can we use this? Okay, let me use this first one. This is a tag DOM test. Okay, let me use this first one. So we'll go back and what's this, class section, copy. So we can say var section 1, let's see, 12 equals to document dot get element by class name, and we have section, and we have we have, let's say I want to put something here. Let me create a function, and we have function, we have click me, for example, and we have section 12 dot style dot background. Let's want to change it to light blue. Okay, so instead of going into there to put dot on click and all that, we can simply add an event listener. So we can say section 12 dot add event okay, so we can say add event listener, add event listener. Now one thing about the event listener is that you don't use on click. Okay, so we have two data here similar to the set interval and set timer. The first one is the event and the second one is the function. Okay, so what's the event? I just want to use on click, so you just use click. On click is not used. Okay, on click is not used. Okay, that's why I expect you guys to just learn on click and on load. Okay, practice it before you go to the other ones. Okay, so on click is not used. Simply remove the on clicked. Let me indicate it here. Use click instead of on click. Sorry, for event similar to load instead of on load, etc. Okay, so I've used clicked here, and I'll put a command. The name of the function is what? Click me. Okay, so this is a class. We also need to indicate what class we are using, what class we're referring to. We simply use 0 here also. you simply use 0 here also. So it has saved us the stress of going into the HTML. Remember, if you had like a 2000 line of code here of adding on click, so there's no need to add on click here for the event, to simply add the code directly. So if we click this, this should work. Refresh it again and click this should work. Okay, so that's it for event listeners. So we'll also be having a JavaScript project, a musical JavaScript website, and I hope you guys will join me for one of the live classes, and we build in our project together. So that's it. I've set up some other lessons here for ES6 in the next coming video. As far as I'm able to build this project to get into ES6, it's not very reasonable going into ES6 when you're not fully understood how to use most of the inbuilt functions here in JavaScript, or methods and all that. So this is all for JavaScript before we get into ES6, and that's it. Okay, so you guys should try and practice, understand this very well. We have not done so much of a project here, but I want you guys to understand basic functionalities of JavaScript, how to add element, how to delete element, replace element, understand the document object model, understand how to get element by ID, by class name, by tag name, by query selector, how to change attributes, how to add styles, and how to use events properly. So I'll be making a coming video for ES6, but this is all we have for JavaScript for now. Okay, so see you in the next video.